I thought I had actually damaged my heart. Extreme fatigue and palpitations from just doing tiny little tasks. I just felt like I was gonna faint, and my whole body just felt weak and it felt like it was giving in. Just start feeling super tired and just go sit on the sidewalk and have to call someone to walk me home. I was so terrified. I thought I was gonna die. A 15-minute walk would send me into a flare up. All my energy went to just being able to get up, go to work, and then pass out at night. I'm able to shoot video again, which is something that I didn't think I would be able to do, walk around with the camera for hours. So that's great, that's awesome. Like I said, I had family visiting last week and we went traveling along the coast for a bit. I walked 16,000 steps 3 days in a row, didn't really get flare-ups from that. Like my family, they were like, wow, you're doing incredible, we're tired. But they couldn't even tell that, no one would even tell that I might have a mild flare up here and there.
How's it going, guys? Miguel here from CFS Recovery. In this video, we have Elena, all the way from Spain, but originally from South Africa. She's been dealing with her mysterious symptoms. It's coming up on about a year right now. All started with a virus, and at her worst, she was housebound, mostly bedridden for about a month, and even walking to the washroom was a huge struggle. Lots and lots of symptoms she was dealing with, but recently she was able to film a wedding and walk 40,000 steps over 3 days, and she's crushing it. So, Elena, want to quickly introduce yourself?
So, hi, I'm Elena. I'm from South Africa. And like Miguel said, I got sick about a year ago with a virus. And now I'm doing a lot better thanks to the program. And yeah, I'm 27 years old.
All right. Well, Elena, so let's rewind the clock here. Obviously, it's been quite the journey over the last year because you fell into this, but you also came out of it in about a year. So that's a lot that happened within the last year. But leading up to you getting sick with this, were you seeing any early signs of this stuff? Were you having symptoms prior to this, and then it all just hit a wall, or what was that like leading up to it?
Yeah, I feel like now in hindsight, I can see like some warning signs that there were before I got sick. But definitely when it happened the first time, I had no idea. Like I thought I was living a super healthy life. Um, but yeah, I think looking back at it and everything that I've learned now, I can definitely see that there were some early symptoms. I would get like headaches a lot, like after stressful periods. I was really pushing myself a lot as well. I think I didn't know how to rest at all. Um, Not physically, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, not knowing how to set boundaries and um, setting these really, really high goals for myself and trying to achieve everything in a very short amount of time. So I think I just lived under a lot of pressure that I had put on myself. Um, so I think that's definitely a form of nervous system dysregulation to live like that. It's not sustainable. And I was physically also very active and wouldn't really give myself rest days. Even when I was going to the gym, I would go every single day, even if I felt like, okay, I needed a rest day. And but the symptoms, physical symptoms that I felt before were probably just I would get headaches after stressful periods, and I would also get like I struggled with anxiety and also get some depersonalization with these headaches sometimes. And that's something I've had for years. So I learned that this is just something that happens to me after a period of stress. I tend to get these.
I see.
Yeah.
Sounds like you had a type A personality leading up to this.
Yeah, definitely. From after learning about it, I relate a lot to that.
Seems to be a really common theme with people, but it sounds like you were active, you're doing lots of stuff. And
Mhm.
then this happened. So this all started, last August, last September, about a year ago.
Yeah, end of July. So,
End of
yeah.
July. Got
Mhm.
it. So, what was that like when it first hit you? And did you find out what it was, or it was just a bad flu?
Well, yeah, I the week before I got sick, I had a really, really busy week, and I had this headache kind of symptom before I got sick. I had a really intense headache. I was traveling that week, and when I got back home, I started feeling like I had a flu, and I thought, okay, I'll kick this quickly. So I did my version of what's taking care of yourself when you have a flu, and I just drank a lot of ginger tea. And other than that, I didn't really do. I didn't slow down at all. I was still working. I was still like trying to do light exercise, and I was okay. But the symptoms kind of lingered and lingered and lingered. And 3 weeks later, I was still feeling like I have a bit of a fever. Um, but then it went away, and then I went to do a workout, um, and it was a very light workout, but that's where I had, like, my first crash at that point. That's what I didn't know what it was. I just felt extremely weak. After doing this workout, I was like, "Okay, let me go to the supermarket quickly," and when I was in the supermarket, I just felt like I was gonna faint, and my whole body just felt weak, and it felt like it was giving in. Um, and then I was kinda scared. I was freaked out by that, and after that, the POTS, heart palpitations, other dizziness, other symptoms started, like, coming on really quickly, and I thought I had actually damaged my heart during the workout or something, because it was just something unlike I have ever experienced, this, extreme fatigue and palpitations from just doing tiny little tasks. But then it got better and it got worse and it got better and it got worse, but it was a downward spiral from there. The symptoms just got more and more and more.
Yeah. And did
Yeah.
all of that happen immediately, or was there a delay? Because a lot of people, they'll get sick, then they'll take it easy, then they'll bounce back for about 3 weeks, and then they'll hit a wall after that. Was it like that for you too?
Yeah, it was like that for me. It was like I'd get freaked out and stop doing things. I'd get freaked out and kind of chill out for a bit, and then I would start feeling better, and I would assume, okay, I'm doing better now. I can do more things. Um, and then it would just hit me very, very quickly again. So I actually had a few really scary experiences where I thought I was getting better. And then I would decide to go to a shop or something, walk in the street, and all of a sudden feel like I can't walk further.
Mm.
Um, or just start feeling super tired and just go sit on the sidewalk and have to call someone to walk me home because I'd be so disoriented. I also got the brain fog, like heart palpitations, brain fog, dizziness, completely, yeah. And that was scary because in that moment, like in those moments, I thought something seriously wrong was happening, and I I didn't know what was going on. And when I went to the doctors, they were kind of just telling me to rest, like it's a post viral malaise. Um, but it was already 2 months in. At some point, a doctor was telling me, "Oh, just rest. This will take some time," but didn't really
Yeah, those
help much.
those are the scary ones when, your body kinda just hits a wall. Because that's happened to me a few
Mhm.
times where I'm going about my day, I did an activity, back in the day, and then it's like my
Mhm.
legs just give out. It's like they're so weak, I can't even stand on them, and,
Yeah,
uh, I think the
exactly.
scary part is not having control, so even if you wanted to go walk down the street or wanted to go, you know, drive a car, you just can't because your legs literally don't work. So it's
Yeah,
just
you
it's
feel so weak. Yeah,
I remember for me, it
yeah.
felt claustrophobic because I felt stuck in my body. Because my mind, it wants to go walk that way or do this stuff, but my
It's
physical body, it's like bricks. Like I couldn't lift my legs up.
yeah. No,
Crazy.
it's wild. I remember feeling like my body's broken, like I really felt like I broke something in my body, and I was scared it was permanent, like I wouldn't be able to fix it somehow. Yeah,
Mhm.
so I
So,
totally relate to that.
yeah, so you're going to the doctors, and
Mhm,
how deep did you go down the rabbit holes of, like, specialists and, seeing doctors? Because 'Cause I'm assuming initially you either go to the emergency room or your
mhm.
general practitioner, and then they can't find anything, and they might refer you out, but how did that look like for you in the beginning?
Yeah, so what the first few months were very much just going back to the doctor to do checkups, and they just kept on telling me the same thing, like it's a post-viral malaise. And my doctor told me as well, if it had been the Epstein-Barr virus, it can take a few months for that to go away. Um, but at some point, I just kind of felt like, you start Googling because you're like, I'm not really getting any answers with the tests that they're doing. So I started testing for parasites. I did other tests outside. And then I also did acupuncture. I started to look at more holistic, like alternatives, because I felt like just going to doctors, I was getting the same answer, like nothing's wrong with you, just rest. And then I also got really bad panic attacks from what was happening to me because I was so terrified. I thought I was gonna die. Um, and I actually reached out to a therapist, like because I thought first, okay, well, these panic attacks, they're different from anything I've ever experienced. Like, I'd never experienced a panic attack that feels like it lasts a few hours and my heart rate just stays up.
Yeah.
Um, and luckily, I feel like I was so lucky in this or so fortunate to meet the right people very quickly in my journey. Like you said, it's only been a year, and I was very fortunate to find help relatively quickly. Um, and this woman had actually been through something similar, and she was the first person to link it to the nervous system and
Mm,
kind of tell me that it might be this. So I started looking into it, and I immediately resonated with it.
interesting.
Um,
Where'd you meet
yeah.
that? Was it online or in person?
Online. I met her online, and it was really just I don't know, luck that I found. I don't like it was really luck that I found this specific, like she had had an autoimmune disease, and she had dealt with like she had also told me that it's possibly COVID, that it could have possibly been COVID because she works with people as well with long COVID, but more from a psychologist standpoint, not as much like the brain retraining, like this program. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because it's pretty rare to meet people online who, know that it's a nervous system issue. You'll come
yeah,
across it
no.
there, but it's usually pretty rare at this stage. I think it'll be more common in the future, but
Yeah. I hope so. I hope
yeah,
so. Yeah,
yeah.
that's why I'm saying I feel like really fortunate to have found out, but also from googling, um, I got a lot. I found a lot of similarities between like long COVID and CFS, but I was kind of scared to do any research into CFS because the first thing you see when you Google CFS is like that it's incurable and there's no help for it. And recently I was talking to my doctor about this year and everything that had happened, and she basically said the same thing. She's like, yeah, there's no treatment for it, which is really scary to hear if you're going through something like that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So how did the next few months look? So you go to these doctors at this point in the journey. Where are we at? Are we 3, 4, 5 months in?
This is like yeah, this is still like 2, 3 months in.
So you're still trying to
Um,
figure out. what this could.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and from there on, I actually started to make some progress. Um, I think maybe because I was approaching it and okay, I've got it. Basically, what I started doing then was a bit of pacing, like taking things slower, stop trying to push through symptoms, and I guess I wasn't really sure what I was doing, but I was getting better, and I actually got quite a lot better. Um, I was able to, I think, like after that, I was within a month, my capacity went up quite a bit. I was doing like increasing activity slowly, you know, walking around the block and then a bit further and then a bit further. And also I had my partner with me that that helped me a lot as well to just do all of these things on a daily basis with someone. Um, and I was able to, I think by December, I was able to travel to go back home to visit my family. And I mean, none of I still had symptoms all the time, but I kind of just thought, okay, I'm getting better now. So they at least I'm getting better. My capacity is increasing. And I was feeling pretty normal at that point. Um, and I was able to make a flight down to South Africa, have a holiday there. But then on the flight coming back, I had the biggest flare up that I had experienced up until then. Like I, yeah,
Just hit a wall.
yeah,
Did
I hit a
did
wall again.
you were you getting tired in South Africa, and were you feeling things building up, and you just kind of just kept going?
The thing is, I, I don't know if I felt things building up. I just felt this like up and down thing, which I didn't understand were like adjustment periods. So I would just feel better one day and then feel worse the next day. And I kind of thought, like, okay, I just have to, I thought I was kind of like building strength. So I thought I have to push through the tiredness because that's how I'm strengthening my body and that's how I'm building capacity. But I didn't understand that. Yeah, I understood a bit about the pacing, but I didn't know how to get the balance right. So I think I was just kind of winging it. And yeah,
You
that's
just
why I
you just
hit a wall again.
yeah, you did a little too much. So it all hits you on the
Yeah.
um, it all hits you, then what happened when you got back home? Because you had built yourself up to this point.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I was not even nervous getting on the flight back home because I had done it there, so of course I could do it back. But and on top of that, I had like an 8-hour layover, and I
ooh,
was just
yeah, that's a lot.
yeah, it was a lot. I remember there was a point where I sat down for 3 hours just doing breathing exercises, trying to get my heart rate down,
Oh,
and it
was your
wouldn't
pulse?
it was just up. It was up there. It felt like it was stuck, like a switch had been turned on and it couldn't be turned back off. So yeah, I was just stuck in that state. And I was like, this is not normal. Like because with a panic attack or an anxiety attack, like with breathing, eventually your heart rate comes back down. This is not normal. And that scared me. That really terrified me. When I came back, I actually still had a higher capacity. Like I crashed for a few days. I was kind of in bed, but I think I was so terrified to do anything after that experience on the way back home. Um, but then I went into a spiral, and my capacity shrunk again for a lot of things. Yeah, and that's when I decided I really need to find like help. I need more help to figure out what's going on or how to approach this thing. Um,
So, was that the low point of your journey, and how far did your capacity drop? Is that when you became mostly bedridden and housebound?
no, so the actually the housebound bedridden happened before. That's when I was like when I got sick the first time, that I bounced back pretty quickly.
I
Um,
see.
this one, I was still able to work, but I wasn't able to walk very far. Like, I couldn't I was because at least I could work from home as well, and I could work on a laptop, and I could take the bus, but, like, a 15-minute walk would send me into a flare-up. Like, a
Uh,
15-minute walk outside, I would order groceries because I couldn't go to the grocery store, and I would have to like, all my energy went to just being able to get up, go to work, and then pass out at night. Like, there was nothing else that my energy could go towards.
yeah.
So at
So
least, yeah, my capacity didn't drop all the way back to like being housebound, at
I see.
least.
So your
Yeah.
cognitive capacity was quite high. You could go on screens and you could think, you
Yeah.
could use your brain, but for your
Yeah.
physical body, that's where you had low capacity.
Exactly. The only time when I had the really bad cognitive brain fog was initially in the first 2 months, the first 2, 3 months when I had the really bad
I see.
spiral. Yeah.
So what was going through your mind at that time? Having built yourself up to that point, you worked so hard for several months. You go on this trip and then you come back home and you feel worse off than you were previously.
No.
What was that like? Because I've been through that so many times.
It was horrible. That was really horrible because I think then you've already seen improvement. You know, I felt like I was getting better, and then all of a sudden it's like, "Whoa, no, I'm still in the same place basically." Like, I thought I had figured out what to do to get better, and I thought I was doing amazing. So yeah, it was not a good feeling. It was pretty disheartening.
Mhm. Were you able to talk to anybody about this stuff? Like, obviously your partner, but friends and family, did they understand what was going on, or they were just as confused as the doctors?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I even though I had been told that this is like probably a nervous system issue or that I should look into this, I still wasn't like 100% sure what it was. Like, a part of me still thought like maybe there was something wrong with my heart or something, really physically wrong so yeah, I don't think any of us really understood what it was. Um, and yeah, it's very isolating as well to be in a place like that because you just kind of feel like no one understands what's going on. And even when you go to the doctors for help, they still aren't able to give you answers. Um, so yeah, I just felt really isolated and really like hopeless in a way, but I still believe that I'd find a way to get better. I actually, like, I wrote in my journal, I would do these journal entries where I would just, I guess they were kind of like prayers, and I would just ask like, I just wrote, okay, I accept where I am right now. There's nothing I can do. I don't know what to do, so there's literally nothing that I can do to change the situation right now, but please just give me some guidance. Like, I'm ready to accept where I'm at, but I just need the guidance on what to do in order to get better. And that's actually, I the next day I think I stumbled upon your YouTube channel. So that
Oh,
was pretty wild. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess cross paths at the perfect
Hmm.
time, then the
Yeah,
universe would
no, it
help.
was, and
That's wild.
that was also like, I was like, it was such a click, like, aha moment for me because it also just resonated with me, everything that you were talking about on the channel. I was looking for pot symptoms because that was the biggest thing, and one of your videos popped up, and I just started binge watching them one after the other. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people find me through that POTS video and
Mm,
also the internal vibrations video
yeah,
because
had
there's a
those
lot of
two.
videos online that just talk about it, but there's no real solutions about it. It's just, hey, here's what could be happening. Here's the science, the DNA, blah blah
Mhm.
blah. But people want to figure out how to fix it. And I think
Yeah.
my videos, at least right now, it's one of the only ones that talks about an actual solution around it for those specific symptoms, POTS and the internal vibrations. Those are the weirdest ones people have.
They're so strange. But yeah, it's like you said, like you really lay it out in a way that it's like, okay, this I don't fully understand, but here are some steps. So, okay, like let me just try the steps and see if they work. And
Yeah.
so that's also why I was drawn to it. I was like, okay, this seems like there's like some method to this. So if I
Mhm.
can try it out, maybe it could work for me.
Yeah. There's a method to the madness, and it
Yeah.
starts to make even just a little bit of sense, right?
Uh-huh.
It's like, okay, a little bit of sense is better than making no sense at all. So let's go down this rabbit hole. Let's see what this channel has to say. And then that's when you just binge watch everything. And it's like, oh, it
Yeah.
makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense. Sense.
fully.
It's a nervous system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way yeah, the way everything like even like I had known it had something to do with the nervous system, but my approach was just, okay, so I need to calm down or I need to make my life less stressful, but it's not as simple as that. There's
Yeah.
like so many components to it, and I think that's where yeah, that's where a program like this really helps.
Mhm. So, when did you decide to get started inside the Recovery Academy, and what made you take that, leap of faith? Because you had tried so many things in the past. Um,
Mm, no,
what?
I mean, actually, right away, I think I watched your videos and then I found your Instagram and you had posted that there was like this 7 day there was like a master class and then a 7 day trial
Yeah,
the next week, I think, or in the next few days. And I just signed up right away. And then when you explained the because in that class you were explaining the progress cycles and adjustment periods, and I was like, whoa, okay, for the first time, like I'm understanding what I'm going through. This makes sense because I didn't understand why one day I felt like I could do so much and then the next day I just felt completely floored. So then I that really convinced me because I related to everything in there.
mhm. So you came
Yeah.
on board, and when was that? What month was that?
That was February, I think, February.
It was about 6 months ago, 6, 7 months
Yeah,
ago, and what were some of the most helpful things you did in your recovery? It could be from the program or it could be things you pieced together. I mean, there's so many things we could talk
right.
about, but what
Yeah, there's so
are the biggest things?
Okay, wow. Yeah, there's so many things, there's so many little parts to this. But yeah, I think the first thing was belief, I think was really important for me, was to strengthen the belief that I could get better. Because I think this illness, it really tests that belief in so many ways. Like, um, and it's really important, I think, to have that belief that you can get better and that it is the nervous system, and to keep on reaffirming that to yourself and to not go down those pathways of fear and to not respond poorly, basically,
Mm,
is the main thing. Just respond well through all of that, which is, I think, probably the number one thing that you teach. But there's so many ways to do that, and there's so much help in the program as well. Um, then I think another thing was just to learn to have grace with myself and to not put a timeline on how quickly I had to get better. I think at the start I was still doing the type A personality thing and I was like, okay, in 3 months, like which is just it's not realistic. Like it's not something that happens overnight. So once I really focused on where I was at and just like Coach Krista says, like stay in your 3 foot world.
mhm.
Um, that really helped me a lot. And Yeah, there's so many things I don't even know
Yeah.
where to yeah, and to just trust the program. I think I really had to trust it because I had so many doubts, even though all of it really resonated with me, because these symptoms that you feel are so real and so intense, and it's such an intense experience, and it's an everyday thing. Um, it's hard to trust that it works, and that's why it's important to keep track of the wins and come to the group calls and watch recovery stories to just continue to give yourself proof that it actually does work.
Mhm.
Um, and that's something that really helped me a lot, and just to be in the community and actually feel understood, because no one in my life understood it. Like, I had a lot of support that I'm extremely grateful for, and I felt very supported. But of course, if you're not going through something like this, then um, you can feel very isolated. And the community just provided that sense of, yeah, that sense of community where you felt understood. I felt like, okay, if this person, I'm seeing them get better, so if they can do it, I can do it too. um,
Mhm.
that really helped me a lot to have that on, especially on the more difficult days when I was in an adjustment period. I could just jump on a call and listen to other people's wins, and I would hear a win of someone that was in adjustment period the week before, and I'm like, okay, they're out of it. I'm gonna get out of it too. That
Mhm.
really helped. Yeah.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question is, how do you instill that belief in you? And I guess it's just seeing proof, right? And it's seeing it over
Yeah.
and over and over again.
You've
And
gotta
I think
brainwash yourself almost with, like, the positivity
you
and
have to
the
program your
belief.
mind.
Yeah. Yeah,
You have to
yeah,
'Cause,
yeah.
a lot of times when you're dealing with all these symptoms, there's a lot of, negative thoughts and emotions around that, so it's like, if you're not feeding your mind with intentional things, it's naturally gonna start going down a negative spiral and start feeling sorry.
Yeah.
So you'll start feeling sorry for yourself and thinking of how much you lost, how you can't
Oh,
do
yeah.
this and that, all the things you can't do, and all the things that are
Yeah,
going wrong versus uh, hearing other people like climbing the ladder of recovery. Um, so when you hear
fully.
it more often, it's just like I don't know, it's like you're absorbing it like a sponge. It's really programming your mind for recovery and to think more
Yeah.
positively, belief and hope.
Yeah, and I think it's also, like, it's even okay to have those doubts as well. Like, I
Yes.
remember, because yeah, because at the start, I even had a fear that if I have doubts, I won't be able to recover, which,
Yeah.
you know, and so at some point I was also like, because I remember this was like a topic in one of the group calls where I think Junior was saying, um, no, you have this feeling like, oh, what if it doesn't work for me? Like, what if I'm that one person that this isn't going to work for? What if I'm different from everyone else in the program? And I just kept on telling myself, like, when I had these doubts, like, no, you're not different. If it works for them, it's going to work for you. But I was also like, it's okay to have doubts. That's part of the process, because only with, like you said, with proof, and once you start seeing wins, it's much easier to have that belief, because you actually build that confidence through by doing more things and seeing that your body can do more things than it did before.
Yeah, and there's concrete evidence both externally and internally when it starts to
Hmm.
work. And then
Yeah,
you're implementing these things. Sometimes you can't even explain it in the beginning. It's like you just do some things or think a certain way, and then the symptoms start to uh, get less intense, and you could do more, and you're like,
yeah,
"What? Okay, I guess it works."
wild.
Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, it's. I still like. Sometimes I'm still taken aback by the whole journey and all of it. So that's yeah.
yeah. What was one of your first really big mind shifts that you had, or one of your first big wins? Maybe they're tied
Mm.
together. Do you remember that?
Big, very big mind shift for
It could
me was,
or
yeah, sorry,
no, no, it could be like a win or mind shift. It doesn't
or
have to
mind
be
shift.
both,
Okay.
just
Yeah.
something shifted.
Big shift for me was when we spoke about gray theory, and graying things out. Um, and I realized that I actually been very unbalanced in a lot of areas of my life. And once I was able to work with those things and those specific responses, I started to pinpoint like very specific areas where I wasn't responding in a grayed out way. And I would just target different ones, and by making those changes and reframing certain thoughts and beliefs and responses and trying to do them in a more grayed out way, I really started to see a lot more progress. Um, so yeah, that was huge for me.
Mhm. Now, for
Yeah.
people listening to this right now, they're thinking, "What the heck does gray out mean? What does that mean to gray something out?" Can
Re-
you break down gray theory or
Oh gosh.
share?
All
Just
right. I'll try
share
my
how you
best.
gray theory.
Right. So it's basically the opposite of behaving in a black and white manner. Oh gosh, let me think of one example that I have with gray theory. Okay, so a physical, really easy example that I know is for example when you're to not go into these extreme behaviors during adjustment periods. Like if you take a walk around the block and then you're feeling tired and immediately feel like you need to lie down, that's unbalanced behavior. But if you, for example, like take a walk, you feel the fatigue, but maybe you stand for a few minutes once you get home and then you lay down, like that's a more gray behavior, instead of just like going from the one extreme to the other extreme. And then emotionally, I think because a lot of the gray, I had to work a lot with my emotions. I think that that's something that I worked a lot with, once my physical capacity got a bit better. And also that's what helped my physical capacity get better. But for example, just having more gray responses towards certain emotions, because I had really heavy emotional APs as well. So when I felt like extreme anxiety or extreme fear, just learning to not see fear or anxiety as such a scary thing, but to be able to see it as a normal response from the body and to really just allow it to be there a little bit and then move on to something else. So it's not wallowing in it or not indulging in it or not getting even more terrified, but to allow it to be there and then move on. So and applying that in everything. So yeah, that's my shot at explaining gray theory. I don't know if I did
Yeah.
such a great
So,
job, but yeah,
I mean,
there
you
it is.
said it in the beginning. It's the opposite of extreme behaviors. So this all or nothing approach, people wanting
Mhm.
to the moment they get energy, going out and spending all that energy to try to cash in, and get the
Mhm.
most out of the energy they have, um, that's, extreme behaviors. It doesn't seem extreme at the
Yeah,
time because maybe that could be just walking outside to the mailbox and back. So to the normal
right.
person, not extreme, but um, grade graying things out is finding that balance in between. And same thing with emotions. A lot of people, when they do have some energy or they have a better day, it's like we can fall into this trap of riding this high of like, oh, I might be out of this, I think I'm recovered,
Yeah, yeah. I
gone.
had that a lot.
Let me resume my life again. And you try to do all these things. And then when that doesn't work, you have this AP, it's like everything comes crashing down. And then
Yeah.
you start feeling horrible about yourself. So you go from this very high, excited, elated place to like the pits, the trenches.
Mhm.
That's not good for the body, so the gray behavior is huge, physically,
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally. Just really finding that balance, you know, just being less
W
extreme with things.
yeah.
That helps a
And
lot.
yeah, and I think it's also like I was almost, it took me a while to let go of that a bit as well because I thought it was part of my personality to also
Me
get
too.
like super excited about stuff and then be super low when something goes wrong. Like I was just like, oh, I'm a sensitive person. Like I feel everything. But actually we do have more control over the way we react than we know.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's one of the big mind shifts you had, and what was one of the big
Mhm.
wins you had early on?
I think for me, whenever my walking capacity increased, like I was just so stoked because it was something that I was struggling with to walk. So yeah, those were the bigger wins when because I worked with Coach Adrian at first with my program, and I realized like once I responded better to the symptoms that I was feeling when I was doing my 2 15-minute walks a day, um, in the course of a few weeks, like, the symptoms went away for that, and then I would do 20 minutes and, just build up from that. So that was really cool to see, and I think all throughout my recovery, whenever there was a walking win, I was just really happy about that. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So seeing
Yeah.
the consistent, predictable
Yeah.
progress.
Yeah, that was really nice because it also that was more, um the consistent wins were
Yeah.
really showed me that there was a upward curve, um,
Yeah.
whereas before I just felt like I was going up and down, up and down, up and down.
And that's one of the frustrating things. It's when, in the beginning, you're doing everything you can, and the body's just so unpredictable. You don't really know
Mhm.
what's working, what's not working.
Mhm.
It's almost just like winging it, hoping you feel better the next day. So it is this roller
Mhm.
coaster up and down. So when you can kind of stabilize and you know why your nervous system is calming down and why your capacity increased and why your symptoms are coming down, it becomes an almost repeatable process that you have to just run through every time. It's like, okay, I know I
Yeah.
have to expand activity. I know I'm going to have an adjustment period, a flare up, and then I know I'm going to have to respond well, and I know it's going to level me up. So it
Yeah.
becomes this predictable process, and
Yeah.
there's not many. There's a lot less curveballs because before it's like it's curveballs every day,
Totally. Yeah, and I
predictable.
think it really takes out so much of the fear, or for me, it took out a lot of the fear of what was happening, because like you said, I knew what to expect next, and also it helps you to respond better because you know that's what's helping you move in the right direction, so you actually know what to work on. It Yeah, that was I think after I understood these things, like whatever came up after that, whatever AP I had after that, I never hit that super dark place again because I understood what was happening, and that was huge.
Yeah, you had the tools. So if ever you got
Mhm.
stuck in the trenches again, you knew how to dig yourself out and not stay stuck there, essentially.
Yeah, and also
Which
the reassurance from all the coaches and being on the community and, on the calls, that really helps because it is hard when you're in it. Like, it isn't easy to respond well when you're feeling all of these symptoms and you feel like you're going backwards and you need
Mhm.
that extra support, or at least I really did. I don't know how I would have done it without that.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, you've come quite a long way, and I'm glad you were able to turn this around, uh, and you were only in this or on this journey for about a year. But what would you say is different now than maybe the beginning of the year? When you came back from South Africa and you hit a wall.
Mhm.
What would you say is different now than back then, physically, mentally, emotionally?
Mm.
And let's talk
Well,
about physically, actually, capacity wise. What can you do now?
yeah, capacity-wise, I can I can do a lot more. Like you said, I'm able to shoot video again, which is something that I didn't think I would be able to do. Walk around with the camera for hours, and
Camera
carry
and
carry
gimbal.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, a camera and a gimbal. So that's great. That's awesome. I Like I said, I had family visiting last week and we went traveling along the coast for a bit. I walked 16,000 steps 3 days in a row. Didn't really get flare-ups from that. Like my family, they were like, "Wow, you're doing incredible. We're tired." But they couldn't even tell that, no one would even tell that something, that I might have a mild flare up here and there. So, yeah, I'm able to live a pretty normal life for the most part. There's still some things that I struggle with, and there's some sticky symptoms. But I feel like I've come so far. I have no doubt that I can make it through those ones as well. Um, and I'm also starting to work out a bit again. So I'm doing that slowly but
Nice.
surely. And yeah, I can go to the beach. I saw actually what I had written when I first came into the program, like some of my goals, and it was I'd love to be able to go for long walks on the beach, see the sunrise, travel. I've traveled, I've taken a plane by myself again to go visit a friend. And the last thing I wrote on there, I think, was I want to be able to go party and dance all night. So that one's still coming, but like most of the others I've checked off already. So yeah, it's cool.
That's
I'm
awesome.
very,
That
yeah, very happy
awesome.
with my progress.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And how would you say, or do you see the world differently now, or do you have a different perspective on life after going through everything you went through in the last year?
Oh my gosh, completely. Like I feel like a completely different person. Like I feel like I have so much gratitude for the little things now in life, and I know it might sound like I don't know, but it's just you appreciate everything so much more when things get taken away from you and you can enjoy them again for the first time. It's just yeah, it's incredible. So I do feel a lot of gratitude, not only for like little moments being able to enjoy things with loved ones, but also for the people in my life. Um,
Yeah,
and for the people who have supported me through this and stuck with me through this. Um, and yeah, also for you guys, all of you. Like I have so much gratitude for all the coaches, for you for creating this program. I have a lot more gratitude and I feel a lot more content in life in general, because I think before I was just constantly chasing.
yeah,
And I just feel like if you're healthy and you have good people around you, like that's pretty much what life is about. Like you're doing pretty well. So I feel very grateful. Yeah, yeah, that's
totally,
one of the main things.
totally. And
Yeah.
especially during those times when you're crashing and you
Mhm.
feel like, it's all coming to an end. You're not gonna miss the items and the accomplishments and
Mm.
accolades you have. When you're having that panic attack and you feel like your body's gonna shut down, you're sad about potentially missing all the people in your life and leaving behind
Yeah.
the memory and the people, not so much the things. So that's one thing it definitely taught me. It's how important people are and relationships are,
Mhm.
and being grateful for the simple things like being able to watch the sunrise or sunset. Those are
Yeah.
things you can't buy. Um, you
No.
know, nothing can buy that, and it's been there our whole life. We just didn't take the time to go out of our way to enjoy nature and
Yeah.
things until it was taken
Yeah.
away. Just like
Yeah,
you
and
said.
then you realize how much you actually value it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
and
fully.
and you realize, like, if you're at the end of the day, if you have people, the good people in your life, and you're healthy, that's really the foundation of everything. You can take everything else away and you'll still be alive,
Mhm.
and you'll still be able to sit around and tell stories with your loved ones and your
Yeah.
friends. You know,
No, yeah,
everything
that's what it's about.
yeah, everything
Yeah.
else is icing on the cake. So,
And
you
it's
know,
actually a huge blessing to be able to feel that, right? As difficult as it was to go through all of this, and I remember, like, I watched a video of you saying, like, you will start to see this as a blessing once you come out the other side, and I'm really starting to feel that in a way because I actually I told my brother the other day to almost feel like I had moments during being sick where I was happier than when I was before I got sick, just because of, like, the way I see life.
yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Because I had the exact same thing. There were
Really?
honestly moments in the hospital when I was more grateful for life than
Yeah.
what perfect health, you
Yeah.
know? It's crazy to think about it, but it's true, and
Mhm.
especially when I was starting to recover, even when I
Mhm.
was in a wheelchair, that was honestly one of the happiest times of my life. I know that sounds crazy, but it's like you just almost like it's as if I got sentenced to life in a bed. That's what I felt
Yeah.
like. But then they
Yeah.
took that sentence away and they're like, "Oh, actually, no, you don't have to spend the rest of your life in bed. You can actually get your life back." And then
Yeah.
it's just that burst of excitement. So being
Yeah.
in a wheelchair was one of my happiest times in life. It was interesting.
That's No, yeah, I believe it. I can only imagine if you were in a bed in the hospital for that long. Like, your journey too was quite long. Uh, from Yeah, you went through it for quite a bit.
It
Yeah.
was the greatest gift. It was painful at the time, but you know, it was one of the greatest gifts I could ever ask for. But for you, what would you say to someone who's maybe in your shoes where you were several months ago when they're in the trenches and that maybe they're in a crash state or they're just feeling
Mhm.
stuck on their journey, stuck and frustrated? What are some words of hope or inspiration or anything you want to share with them to maybe help them get through that
Yeah.
current?
Well, I think that, if you're already watching this video, if you're, like, on this channel and you're learning about this, how this stuff works, and you relate to it, and you're starting to implement these things, like, you're already on the right path. It's not easy, but it is simple, and you can apply it. And as long as you work on your belief, like, no matter how scary it is where you are right now, there is help, and you just have to work on strengthening that belief and do the work, and eventually you won't need to just hold on to that belief anymore. You'll actually see some progress, and that will make it even easier, and propel you forward even more. But yeah, that's I think, just don't give up on yourself, and work on believing that you can get better, because there are so many people who have gotten better, and I truly believe if they can do it, and if you can get a little bit better, then you can recover. So
Mhm.
that's what I would
Absolutely.
say.
Yeah. And what would you say to someone who's maybe sitting on the fence and they want to try something like the academy, but they're just not sure if it's going to work for them, but they've got all their tests and scans done. They've been sick for years and they're just scared to try one more thing because everything else hasn't worked.
Well, I would say I would say give it a try. Like, there's really nothing to lose if you've tried everything so far. I know it's not that easy, and there might be a lot of challenges. I know as well, like, for some people, they might be scared to invest the money into it, and especially if you're sick, like, there are so many expenses and things. So I understand that it can be to try and do this by yourself. Like, for me personally, I don't know if I would have made the progress this quickly. Um, I mean, I'm sure I wouldn't have made the progress this quickly. And at the end of the day, like our health is so important, and um, yeah, I would just say give it a try. I did. I went all in, and it worked for me, and I know it worked for so many other people. So maybe it could work for you as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. What's exciting that's coming up for you? Any new things coming up this year? Any big trips? Any big plans
Um,
while you're in your
well,
capacity?
yeah, I mean, I'm working on I'm in reintegrating into life, which is exciting. So I think everything feels exciting to me right now. Like every new thing that I can do, and as my capacity is growing, it just feels like a blessing. But I am planning to expand more and my working capacity during my recovery. I started working part time, so I'm excited to get back into like a more full time um, working life. I don't know. And then also I started traveling recently, so I'm excited to maybe be able to hop on a flight at the end of the year and see my family again, and um, not have a flare up like I did last year at the start of this year. Yeah. So yeah.
And then in the very near future, hopefully we'll see you at the Thriver retreat. We're
Yes,
gonna hold a new
yes. Yeah,
that's
it's
gonna be fun.
super exciting. Yeah, definitely planning on being there. That would be awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Elena, thanks so much for sharing some of your story. This has been
No,
very
thank
inspiring,
you.
and it just goes to show that you don't have to stay stuck with this for years and years. And you were lucky enough to find the answers quite early on, and that's
Yeah.
the beautiful technology now. And maybe if you got this 5 years ago, well, definitely if you got this 5 years ago, the channel didn't even exist. So now
Hmm.
there's a lot more information online about uh, different ways to recover, and I think it's
Yeah.
just going to grow bigger um,
No,
and more.
yeah, fully. I think that's as well, like I'm really excited about what you guys are doing as well, like, kind of keeping track of everyone that's gone through the program, and hopefully all of the stories that you're collecting and all of the information that you're collecting can help other people and make this kind of help more accessible to everyone that's going through it. Because they're yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, Elena, it's been great chatting. For all of you guys watching this right now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Just comment down below your biggest takeaway from what Elena shared. Any golden nuggets you have, any big things that stood out that you feel you're going to implement into your recovery, just comment down below. And always remember that you are a thriver and you are just one mind shift away from living a life with thriving health. So we will see you guys in the next video. Elena, thanks so much. Take it easy.
Right. Thanks.